All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm so very excited. And thank you. I'm blown away at how many people we have participating. Thank you so much for taking the time. So, my name is Renee. I am the president for Black Student Union this year. I am a senior and I'm studying sociology and communications.
My name is Destiny. I'm a senior this year and I'm studying business management and HR. And I'm the vice president.
And I'm Victoria. I'm in third year, so a junior this year, and I'm one of your BSU ambassadors.
Hi, I'm Pamela Rice. I work in campus life as an admin assistant to various departments. I'm also the advisor this year for Black Student Union, BSU. Today I want to talk about a young man who died last week. It was widely reported that he was strung out on drugs because he had lost dramatic weight. But little did the world know that this young man, a staunch fighter for social justice, spent his last 4 years helping kids at St. Jude's Hospital, going into ravaged Black communities, starting a nonprofit to bring hospital supplies to those same communities, promoting young Blacks in education, and he was dying of colon cancer. Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, an icon. Chadwick was most famous for portraying a comic book character, but his pop culture icon will go down in history as one of the many standouts who changed cultural perceptions worldwide in a short amount of time. He found and made space on the big screen for someone who looked like him. Chadwick played iconic Black game changers with a passion and an honor for what they accomplished for someone who looked like us. Jackie Robinson, the first Black Major League player. Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court Justice. James Brown, the Godfather of Soul. And a fictional superhero whose alias was King T'Challa, a fictional hidden country where Black people who had no boundaries and left on their own excelled above the rest of the world in grace, beauty, and technology. Now, a side note, Chadwick Boseman, who graduated from Howard University, was a keynote speaker, and he shared, and yes, he did graduate, he shared that he had worked so hard to become a writer and a director and an actor in Hollywood. And when he first started his journey, he was told, man, you have talent, a whole lot of talent, but there is no space on the movie picture reel for someone who looks like you, for someone who looked like him. Now, Chadwick wasn't light-skinned or curly-haired or that stop the car gorgeous that Hollywood demands. He was a man who was dedicated, he was persistent, and he knew what he wanted to do. So back to the story. When Chadwick started with his big role, he was promoting Black women especially. In Wakanda, Black women are portrayed as not loud, but with a silent strength and a natural beauty in roles of power, authority, and leadership. They are the elite warriors, mothers, sisters, and are confident, smart, and unwavering. Does that remind you of anybody you know? Chadwick Boseman championed this perception, changing it at every area he could on the platform he had, following that record-breaking movie. Here's the funny thing. The comic book, Black Panther, was not even supposed to be made. When the higher-ups found out that the main character was actually Black, it was too late for them to stop it. As I studied the backstory of the movie I'm talking about, and a side note, it was not called a Black movie, it paid homage to social injustices sprinkled throughout the film if you're watching. The fabric of indigenous African people were woven into the clothing and the architecture. The makeup reflects the rich culture that we have. Side note, they had to fight to get a Black hair and makeup manager on a film that was 98% Black, but they did it. There was no space on the movie screen for someone like them. The salute, the two-fisted arms over the chest, an homage to black civil rights. The fisted hand represents Black power and the Black Panther movement. And yes, that name is not a coincidence. The arms over the heart as a nod to the peaceful civil rights movements led by Martin Luther King Jr. The fight that we fight can be both violent and loving. You can rise up to be heard, and all men are created equal. A comic book character? Yes. A movie that changed how a Black person, how any minoritized person can see that they too can overcome. They too can achieve a dream. They too can find a place on this world screen for someone who looks like them. Wakanda forever.
Okay, thank you, Pamela, for that amazing speech. All right. So thank you to the speakers that will be sharing shortly. And thank you to the DJS community for allowing us to host this event. Thank you to the Diversity Center for allowing us to move into what was going to be the DJS reception, but we are here now. Thank you very much. Now we will be doing a land acknowledgement held by Victoria.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and give the land acknowledgement. In the Diversity Center, we open all of our programs with a Native land acknowledgement, both at large programs and smaller community gatherings like this. In alignment with the Diversity Center values of critical reflection, perspective taking, community, and care, it is important for us as D-Center community members to disrupt and dismantle oppression, to acknowledge and send gratitude to the Native people and lands of the places that we call home. Since we are virtual, we are being hosted on many different Native lands across the globe. We encourage you to get to know who the Native people are of the place that you are. I want to acknowledge that PLU is on the traditional territory of the Nisqually, Puyallup, Squaxin Island, and Steilacoom people who, prior to the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854, which removed Native peoples from settlement, lived on and cared for this place as their ancestral land. It's important to myself as a settler who calls this place home to acknowledge and send gratitude to these Native people who continue to be leaders for justice in our community today.
Thank you, Victoria, for your acknowledgement. Before we raise the flag, we have a few speakers that would like to share a few words. I will be starting. As a student that has attended a handful of predominantly white schools, I see the way in which we can be placed on the back burner. Sometimes we're not considered in making decisions until those decisions have shown to be harmful. Sometimes we're not highlighted until a diversity shot is needed. And sometimes we're not heard until white people talk for us. In the institutions we participate, we are talked about. Classes are talked about us, but not often enough are they taught by us. I recognize the mental, emotional, and physical toll it can take to be a minority person, to move against the grain, to voice our oppression, our genocide, the injustices we face, and the microaggressions surrounding us. But still, I have to recognize that if we don't have the opportunity to tell our stories, then they can be told wrong. Our history, our stories, our livelihood will all be taught in a way that may acknowledge the ways in which we have been wronged, but will lack the drive to do something about it and avoid repeating history. Being Black at PLU, to me, is taking the opportunity to step up, interrupt, and correct. Attending a white institution now is only practice for the white world we live in. So today, we celebrate. We celebrate because we have been recognized at PLU. Proudly will this flag wave for the whole month of September. Black child, when you see this flag, let it remind you that you matter. You are important. You are desirable, you are intelligent, and you are beautiful. Let us continue to fight to have our voices heard. Let us continue to fight for representation, and let us continue to fight for the future we see fit. It is on us. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next, we have Marcus Eubanks.
Thank you, Marie. That was beautiful. Now, I wrote something as if I was broadcasting this to all of America, so I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Now, dear America, on behalf of all of my American people, we are angry. We're angry because it's the year 2020, and my people and I are still suffering from discrimination that should have been dealt with a long, long time ago. We're angry because no matter how much we help the community, no matter how many degrees we have, we are still negatively judged and discriminated against based on the color of our skin. We're angry because we know that the people who are supposed to be here to serve and protect are the ones who are doing the killing, and they're not being dealt with accordingly for their actions. It's like every time you and I look up on the TV screen, we can see another story of how a cop kills a innocent Black person for no apparent reason. Now, why is it when we leave our homes, the thought of getting harassed or making it home safely is something that we constantly think about? Why is it that whenever we get stopped by police in public, we have to pull out our cell phones to document that potentially life-threatening moments? Why is it that whenever we get killed or wrongfully convicted, we must scream louder than ever to have a chance at peace and justice? Now, I traveled to Oregon last weekend for the first time, never been to Oregon. And I was with my family, and me and my little sister, she's 16, we wanted to roam around the town, go out for a late night drive. It was 9 p.m. And my big sister, she didn't allow that. She didn't want us to go. She didn't allow it. She wasn't for that. And it wasn't because she was scared that we'd get lost or we'd get mugged or anything like that. She was scared because it was a white neighborhood and we were 2 African Americans. She said, stay inside where it's safe. Now, that's the world we live in. And I think, and I'm sure I can speak for all of us when I say things gotta change. Now, thank you for letting me share that. Now I will introduce my main man, Andre Jones. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Marcus. This is something I have to say. George Floyd, Jacob Blake, Elijah McCain, Breonna Taylor, and Manny Ellis. These are a few of the names of the latest casualties we, the Black community, have lost due to police brutality. Unfortunately, it seems as if it's a new face, a new name, that is added to the unjust deaths that are mounting in our country. To live in fear of the people that were sworn to protect you is a plight of African Americans that we have faced for generations. To be treated fairly and seen as human beings without altercation and violence from police and the protection from white vigilantes that take laws into their own hands is all we want. However, for hundreds of years, we've been denied. For too long, our fears have been real. For too long, we have been prosecuted. For too long, we have been feared, discriminated against, and attacked. To be told since you were in elementary school to always be wary and cautious of your surroundings from your grandparents' fear that this maybe could be the last time they see you is very real. When 17-year-old Trayvon Martin passed away in 2012, the shock of his death and the outcome of the trial of a 28-year-old man that killed this unarmed teen that was seen as not guilty sent tremors of disbelief and hurt throughout the community. We protested then because we felt unheard and unseen. That we can be killed and there could be no persecution for it. That was 50 that was 50 years after Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, which ended segregation based on Jim Crow laws. But we are still not seen nor heard. Almost 80 years ago, when we fought for our four freedoms, the freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear, but we are still not seen or heard. Almost 150 years ago, we adopted the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. However, due to black code laws, we were still burdened by unjust laws that kept us as laborers in the South. We were still not seen nor heard. 400 years ago, the first European settlers that brought over the first African slaves to Jamestown, Virginia. But yet we are still not seen nor heard. To be able to walk around to the corner store, to be able to jog, or sleep inside your own house without risk of our life is what we're striving for. I feel like since we were able to put this all together, my perception of PLU changed a lot. I used to feel like a lot of people of color here only had voices in places like the D Center, which is a welcome and sharing space. But I would love our concern as black people who attend this campus to be uplifted by our community here. That the problem facing our community with police brutality is fed up not only by us, but by our school and by our community. Which shows me that we're wanted and appreciated, that we are stood with in solidarity. Now, being black is beautiful. From our skin tone from our skin being toned by the warmth of the sun, to our culture and our love, or how the way our hair tries to touch to the sky above. We are here to be seen and heard. A lot can change from our collective ability to voice our concerns to and with the people listening. PLU, whether standing with us in solidarity now, activating our city council and our legislators statewide, or voting this November, nationally, we can create change. Now, I'd like to introduce Nicole. Oh. Is Nicole right? Yes. Now I want to introduce Nicole Jordan with what she is the piece Who Am I and What I Do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. And it's not a poem or anything, it's just literally who I am and what I do here. My name is Nicole Renee Jordan, and I am a Black queer woman who is committed to supporting students who are marginalized. Though I hold many marginalized identities myself, today I am joyful. As a PLU alum, class of 2015, and having graduated with my bachelor's in arts and social work, alongside peers who, even in that program, would not declare that Black Lives Matter. As a student, I worked across campus in many different departments, including Res Life, Admissions, Center for Gender Equity, Sustainability, Diversity Center, and Center for Community Engagement and Service, almost everywhere on campus. Even in those spaces, I often fought to be heard and to be valued. Post-grad, I served as an AmeriCorps volunteer. I worked with youth in foster care and with youth who are incarcerated. And in those spaces, I fought for my youth to be valued and heard. This year, earning my master's in public administration from Evergreen State College and returning to PLU as a staff member in the Center for Gender Equity, I get to do what I love in supporting other marginalized students. And today I get to celebrate Black Lives Matter. I know the fight continues, but I also know that I am embracing joy, and that is essential. So you'll find me in the CGE, loving poetry, loving pottery, and singing. And I hope to celebrate and continue to fight for our joy.
Thank you, Nicole. Next, we will be having Angie Hambrick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angie Hambrick. I'm the Associate Vice President of Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability, and the Director for the Center of Gender Equity. I should say Dr. Angie Hambrick because I just got them PhD letters, and you know what? Let's own that. Let's own that. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yes, thank you, Senko. Okay, so on both of my arms, I am covered in tattoos, a mixture of text and images. The voices and words of the ancestors, Zora Neale Hurston, James Baldwin, James Brown, W.E.B. Du Bois, and of course, Audre Lorde, cover me like a cloak and remind me that humanization is my professional and personal vow to those before me and after me. Come down. No. No. I'm also a mother. Yeah. All right. Come get him, Nicole. That's Senko, full of joy. All right. Mommy. We'll see you later. In my reflection on what Blackness is in the Black imagination, in my Black imagination, I did not have to look any further than the ink on my arm for direction, and I called upon my ancestor, Audre Lorde, and her work, Sister Outsider. So on my left arm, I have tattooed, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. But the rest of that quotation says is my poetry, my life, my work, my energies for struggle were not acceptable unless I pretended to match somebody else's norm. I learned that not only couldn't I succeed at the game, but the energy needed for that masquerade would be lost to my work. This is not just a quotation for me and for others who do a quick Google search and find Audre Lorde quotes on the websites, but the means in which I can exert my power to live my Blackest ass life. One outside of the constraints of the white imagination, constructed, maintained, and reimagined by me. This Blackness allows me to wear my big earrings, locks, and purple lipstick to President's Council meetings and not worry about what other people think of me. This Blackness allows me to stand before the Board of Regents with my full sleeves and chest pieces on full display and not worry about what others think of me. This Blackness allows me to hold and live outside of the single story that whiteness has created for me, and it includes joy, passion, and love. Audre Lorde also wrote, to survive in the mouth of this dragon we call America, we have had to learn this first and most vital lesson, that we were never meant to survive, not as human beings, and that visibility which makes us most vulnerable is that which also is the source of our greatest strength. Because the machine will try to grind you into dust anyway, whether or not we speak. We can sit in our corners mute forever while our sisters and ourselves are wasted, while our children are distorted and destroyed, while our earther is poisoned. We can sit in our safe corners, mute as bottles, and we will still be no less afraid. As Lorde pointed out, America was never created for my survival. The white imagination created an image of Blackness that would secure the survival of whiteness. Our survival was never in consideration. Whiteness is invested in a form of Blackness that best fits the needs of whiteness. The image created in the white imagination that is only fit to be subordinated, dominated, and oppressed by whiteness so that whiteness can reap the benefits of the social, economic, and cultural assets that is associated with whiteness. The image of Blackness that does not require whiteness is not a part of the white imagination. And as a Black mother to a Black son, it is my responsibility to help my son envision a version of Blackness untethered from whiteness, to help him learn how to live free in his little Black body. The white imagination has tried to force upon us a view of Blackness that they have created as their truth, one that's only purpose is to serve the need of whiteness. My resistance is to never allow Senko's Blackness in his own imagination to be withered down to misfortune, oppression, less than, and pain, and to see himself only as a prop in the white stage play of white supremacy, domination, subordination, and the white imagination. The relationship that whiteness established with Blackness, one that is based on domination and subordination, is necessary for the maintenance of whiteness, but is not necessary for the existence of Blackness. Y'all hear me? A subordinated version of Blackness was created and sustained in the imagination of whiteness that is incongruent with how Blackness sees and defines itself. So while the sting of racial insults are very real and hurt and harm and can lead to more violence against Black bodies, as Ancestor Lord has said, I am not only a casualty, I am also a warrior. My battle, my calling, my ancestors' will is not to try to broaden the minds and imaginations of white people. That is not my job, that is your job. But my work is to not allow my imagination of who I am as a Black woman to be dictated by whiteness, to not be silenced by the noise of the socially constructed reality of white supremacy. I recently received an email from a Black student named Mary. Shout out to Mary if you're there. In part, she said, quote, I'm just a kid trying not to die. And I saw you being alive and Black, and it made me believe that I could live too. And that is my job. This is my ancestors' will. This is for my son and my students and my D-Center kids and my D-Center alumni. I want to model what it means to find joy, how to be free, and how to live joyfully in our Black bodies.
Thank you so much, Angie. That was beautiful. All right, so now we will be doing the flag raising. We have Destiny here, and we have Ty. Ty, come say hi. Come say hi. We have Ty here. Ty is from Beyond Pacific with Andre. They have a club for Black males specifically, males of color specifically. And we'll be raising the flag now. Can we get a Black Lives Matter on 3 with everybody's mics off? Or sorry, on, so we can all hear everybody? Can we do that? Can we do that? Y'all down? Turn on your mics. Turn on your mics. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? We're gonna do a Black Lives Matter. Y'all ready? Everybody get ready. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Black Lives Matter. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you all for attending our virtual Black Lives Matter flag raising ceremony. Thank you to all the speakers. All of your pieces were beautiful. Feel free to hang out on this call to chat with us. Some of our speakers will be here to talk and answer some questions and also advertise some of the clubs that we have here. Feel free, if you're a new student, look out for the Black Student Union Discord that will be posted hopefully by tonight. And we look forward to talking with you guys.
Anyone, come on, all you guys, come on up.
Yes, y'all want to say hi?
Everybody here.
Y'all say hi?
Not too close, right?